Get rid of the label of insomnia. By the way, this might upset some of your people, might even upset you. There's no such thing as insomnia. Equally, there's no such thing as anxiety. There's no such thing as chronic pain. But what I'm not saying is I totally appreciate people don't get to sleep well. I totally appreciate people's heartbeat and they might perspire when they have anxiety. I totally appreciate that someone might have a back pain, suffering that's been there for years, but someone slapped the label on a bunch of body mechanics, on a bunch of body sensations one day, and it was labeled insomnia. So now people often misuse that. So really what I do with clients, when they come in, look, I can't sleep, blah, 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 I'll be like, I'll get them to do something. And maybe you want to do this now, and maybe some of your watchers, viewers might want to do this now if it's safe to do it. If it's safe to do this, take your hand and put it onto a table in front of you. If you don't have a table, you can put it onto your lap. And you can do this if you want. I'll do it with you, right? I want you to describe the sensation of your hand on the table. Don't go into narrative, don't go into story, but the sensation, like it's soft, it's hard, it's hot, it's cold. And maybe some of the viewers want to do this out loud or in their mind. If there's anyone around them, they might think they're crazy, but this is useful. So if your hand's on the table, describe in sensation words, how does that feel for you?
Yeah, so I'm putting my hands on my lap and I can feel the my trouser, and I feel a little bit of warmth. Yeah.
Excellent.
So
And what else? Do you feel warmth? What else do you feel? Sensation. Tell me more about the sensation of your hand on your lap.
uh, so I can feel the middle finger exerting a little bit more pressure compared to the other fingers, because maybe it's rested more. So that's what I can think of.
Excellent. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but just to help you along. Do you feel any pulsing? Do you feel any vibrating? Do you feel steady with that hand on your lap? What about the energy there?
So I can feel, yeah. So when you talk about the heartbeat, after a few minutes, I'm noticing the heartbeat, the pulse beat also. Yeah, coming to the energy, maybe I can see some energy flowing. So basically, because the blood is flowing, I can see some energy flowing. Yeah.
So I'll just thank you. That will help people. I'll just cut it short. But typically, what I'll do is I'll do that with a lot of clients for far longer than we just did it with you. And most people, you started to do it. Everyone does it, even me. Hand on the table. Ask them to describe it in sensory words. Oh, well, my hand's on the table. Logical mind, not what I asked. Oh, well, it feels very tired. This is not a sensory thing, right? So it's like the train keeps going off the tracks. Everyone does it, by the way, including me. But my job,
Yes.
that's what insomnia is. I've got insomnia, I've got insomnia, I've got insomnia. So when I get people to just do that little activity I just did with you, hand on the table, speaking in sensory words of what's really happening right now, I then get them to map that across to their emotion, because they won't have insomnia in my office. And what I mean by that is it won't be 12 o'clock midnight and they're trying to sleep and I'm there waking them up. So we can't bring that up. But what I can bring up, not in my office in Zoom, because everything I do is over Zoom now, is I'll get them to bring up that anxiety in their body. So they'll feel it for not being able to sleep, yada, yada, yada. They'll start, oh, I feel anxious. Oh my God, I'm so worried. And remember your hand on the table. Yeah. So describe the sensation in the body in the same way you did with your hand on the table. Describe the sensation, how it's moving, the quality of it with this thing called anxiety. So then I've taken the label off of it, and all it is a bunch of biomechanical, biological things. Well, I feel hot. Well, the energy, I'm just paraphrasing, you've got this energy that I feel in my stomach and it feels quite tight. Then suddenly it goes to my solar plexus and I feel restricted breathing. Now it's going to my throat and I feel even more restriction. It's like a stone is in there. So we take the label off it, start to break it down into its components, and I'm just walking you through it. This could be a whole first session. This could kind of be a long process.
Yes.
because most
Yeah.
people are not trained in this. We're all logical. Labels can be really useful at times, by the way, but when it comes to someone else giving us a label like insomnia, there's a bunch of inherent limitations that are built into it that we unconsciously accept. Well, I've got insomnia because I just didn't sleep good one night. No, you just didn't sleep good one night. You don't have insomnia. So when they start to describe it, I'll start to get them in touch with it. And let's say they say, look, I just feel this energy and there's this tightness here. I'll be like, well, that tightness there, is there anything inherently to fear? Is there any threat present right now, that tightness in your throat? Most people will look at me like, what the hell are you, what does that even mean? So I'll coach them into that. And they'll be like, well, no, there's no inherent fear or there's no inherent threat of that tightness in my throat, chest, whatever it is. And I'll get that to link them back, because it's just the components that build up this thing called insomnia, which is anxiety, which is fear for the future. So we can start to break it down in its components, the actual sensations, however they manifest in each and everyone's body, and they can see actually there's no threat, because oftentimes anxiety, which relates to insomnia, if you take it to bed, is linked to threat. There's an inherent threat. Goes back to our ancestry days. There's a big lion, tiger, bear, and it's about to eat us. We better run. That was a good reason to feel fear. That was a good reason to feel anxiety. Otherwise, we're going to be eaten up and we're going to be the bear's breakfast. However, when we're at home and we're pretty much safe, we've got a roof over our head. Here in Toronto, it's snowing like crazy right now, but I'm warm. I'm inside. There's no bears walking around. Maybe if I go to BC in the middle of the woods, but I'm safe. My head knows I'm safe. My body, someone with anxious, their body doesn't know they're safe. That adult mind knows I'm safe. I'm well fed, got shelter, got love. Brain knows that. Body doesn't know that. Body is what feels. Body is what feels the anxiety. Body is what causes the insomnia. So it's about really reprogramming, not their minds. A lot of people are like, Luke, can you reprogram my mind? I'm like, first of all, I can't reprogram anything. You're going to do all the work. Neither can you. But that's not useful to reprogram your mind, to be honest. But what I can get you to do, if you follow some simple instructions, is start to recode your body. Because when your body starts to feel, there's no threat when I go to sleep. Not just here, but the body is parasympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic nervous system, fight, flight, freeze, to parasympathetic nervous system, rest and digest. Body's like, I understand I'm safe. Body doesn't. Body's like, parasympathetic. I know I'm safe. And if I know I'm safe, it's all right to close my eyes now and rest peacefully.
Absolutely. I totally get it with the way you described about the sympathetic versus the parasympathetic. And yeah, I totally agree with you. When the problem is when people have the sympathetic nervous system, which you activate way beyond your parasympathetic nervous system, all kinds of issues. So it could be insomnia, it could be chest palpitations, or whatever may be the case. When you actually stop putting those labels. So I read it somewhere, Luke, and nothing has a meaning. Only the meaning you give it is the thing that makes a thing. So if you stop giving that, like you talked about the label, so yeah, just one bad night of sleep, that's it. Or maybe it could be like a month of bad night of sleep. But back then when I was struggling, I was so desperate to fix my problem that I started searching every hack that I could find on the internet and thinking that everything will solve it. But the thing is, what I didn't understand at that time was when I kept searching for the next hack, I was still adding to that fuel to that desperation. So the more fuel I add to desperation, the harder it became. But yeah, thankfully, I started the practice of meditation wherein I was able to stop adding fuel to the fire. And that is when game changed and I was able to stop putting those labels. And yeah, in fact, like you talked about, there are a couple of nights even now when I do have some bad night of sleep, but I don't give a label right now saying that, oh, what happened, why is it, and all those kinds of things.